Information and technology is one of the most critical things that you could have in a sheriff's office or police agency, because we deal with repeat offenders the majority of the time.
And the ability to track people across jurisdictions is absolutely essential to reducing the murder risks in this country. If you were a criminal, where would you go? You'd go to places you didn't think the fiber cable reached. So small towns are seeing individuals, are extremely high risk.
We have people that come from big city to the backwoods of places like where I live and where I work. They hide. So the sharing of information is certainly needed.
Up until just a few years ago, everything was still done by hand. Most of our populations are farmers and ranchers, so our tax base is very small, very limited. So there's not a lot of funds available for what our county would consider luxuries, such as software for booking.
We want something to be able to share with other agencies. Anybody, for example, in the Dallas area would be able to immediately access information from the border area, and vice versa. I think as long as it be shared, it'd be good, and be shared by everybody.
The typical problem is that because every law enforcement agency has contracted with a different records management vendor, they all operate a little differently. They're not consistent with each other. Because there are different records management systems, the sharing of multi-jurisdictional data is very, very difficult.
And the reality is, we have 30,000 law enforcement agencies in this country. You don't need 30,000 internally managed databases. But how do you get critical intelligence, warrants and attachments to local law enforcement in real time? And that's the challenge we're facing. It's one thing to be able to trace somebody right next door. How do you trace somebody that's commuting to kill somebody about 380 miles down the highway?
And if we had all the same technology and all the sheriffs had it, you'd have all 254 counties in the whole state covered. We can share information and do anything we can to help each other.
I'd love to see that throughout the state of Texas. Justice will be done everywhere.
In the public safety market, there's a real need for accurate data collection at the source of the collection with the police officer. Basically, at that point is where all the critical information is collected.
In the information technology business, we call it garbage in, garbage out. So the better the information that comes in, the better the analysis that comes out. So it's really a data quality issue. And what Blue Streak does, and they're one of the first companies to do so, is create a mechanism so that officers can easily, and this is the important thing, easily get information into their law enforcement systems so that it can be used in a quality methodology which can be analyzed in the back end.
93% of police departments in the United States have 50 or less officers. The technology that's available to police is priced for the top 10 cities. So the New Yorks and Minneapolises who have the money have plenty of options. But when you get to the smaller police departments where most of us live, they don't have those resources.
So very few of them can afford a modern computer-based records management system. An agency that wants to install a records management system needs to buy hardware, software, operating systems. They have to have someone operate that server. So they have MIS, Management Information Staff, IT staff. And if you've got 10 to 15 officers, allocating one individual to do that suddenly is a major percentage of their budget. Whereas Blue Streak can allow you to merely buy a personal computer, an internet connection, which we all have, and enable a large-scale system at a very, very nominal price. So by using a shared resource environment, we basically give them the benefit of a Tier 1 system at the price of their desktop system.
Anything that's simpler will work better, and the cop on the beat has more demands now than ever before. And that ability to have real-time information and get out faster is there. The other thing is there's a certain risk to hanging on street corners, filling out forms.
If an officer pulls a car over as a normal traffic stop, before approaching the car, if they were to tap that license plate into a Blue Streak system, one of the results of that could very well be that this is a violent individual, and a warning would come back immediately to that officer in the field.
So you're increasing officer safety. You're most of all getting your police investment on the street where they need to be quicker.
Law enforcement is very report intensive. Everything seems to come back to the reports. We knew we needed to kind of remove that as an obstacle for them to try to do their jobs. So what we tried to do is provide them with a way to collect the information through a questionnaire base. You basically just walk through a questionnaire, answer all the questions, and you're done as an officer responding to a specific incident.
The chief and the command staff can now look and compare across beats, across precincts, across regions, and can apply analytical techniques to identify where a particular pattern of crime has occurred, where it is starting to occur, and use the resources of those other precincts to solve that crime.
The approval process is really the reason that all this exists. Information that is gathered from the beginning and goes through the whole chain from the officer to a sergeant to the prosecutor to the courts to the jails needs to be fair. And so having clean information, that's the checks and balances we have to make sure that the right people are being prosecuted and there's fairness in the system.